I don't want to dwell on it, but according to the indictment, you were here at Bedminster on July 21st, 2021, after you're no longer president, and you were recorded saying that you had a document detailing a plan of attack on another country that was prepared by the U.S. military for you when you were president, the Iran attack plan. You remember that?
Ready?
You were recorded.
It wasn't a document.
Okay.
I had lots of paper. I had copies of newspaper articles. I had copies of magazines.
I know. This is specifically a quote. You're quoted on the recording saying the document was secret, adding that you could have declassified it while you were president, but, quote, now I can't. You know this is still secret, highly confidential. And the indictment cites the recording and the testimony from people in the room saying you showed it to people there that day. So you say on this, on tape,
it says just the opposite.
That you can't declassify it, so why have it?
When I said that I couldn't declassify it now, that's because I wasn't president. I never made any bones about that. When I'm not president, I can't declassify it.
And that's what you said. You didn't declassify it.
I said, no. I said I couldn't
but
that wasn't a document, Brett. There was no document. That was a massive amount of papers and everything else talking about Iran and other things. And it may have been held up or may not, but that was not a document. I didn't have a document per se. There was nothing to declassify. These were newspaper stories, magazine stories, and articles.
I'm just saying what the indictment says.
Well,
the recording and the people in the room who testified.
These people are very dishonest people. They're thugs. They're thugs. If you look at what they've done to other people, what they've done to, and overturned in the U.S. Supreme Court. These are thugs.
The suggestion was that you wanted this as evidence that the military, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, had preemptively sent you plans for a possible attack on Iran and that you didn't order that to happen. That's the suggestion.
I never ordered it to happen, no.
But that's why you wanted the document.
I don't think I've ever seen a document from Milley. Milley, frankly, was incompetent. The last one I'd want to attack with as my leader would be Milley.
They did ask for it.
No, and
they said, can you give the documents back?
And we were talking.
And then they said they went to DOJ to subpoena you to get them
Which
back.
they've never done before.
Right.
And
but why not just hand them over then?
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to Nara yet. And I was very busy, as you've sort of seen.
Yeah, but according to the indictment, you then tell this aide to move to other locations after telling your lawyers to say you'd fully complied with the subpoena when you hadn't.
But before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things, golf shirts, clothing, pants, shoes. There were many things. I would say much more, not that I know of, but everything was declassified. And Biden didn't have the right to do that because he wasn't president. Nor did Mike Pence, by the way, have the right to do that because he wasn't president.
And there it is. Trump confesses that he didn't want to hand over boxes of classified documents that he'd unlawfully retained because he was, quote, very busy, and then when confronted on the fact that he told his aide, who was Walt Nauta, to move his boxes to a different location while telling his attorney that he'd fully complied with the subpoena, which, to be clear, is a crime, Trump says that he needed to go through the boxes. In other words, he didn't deny committing the crimes at all, and instead tried to justify them. And look, I'm not here to give any free legal advice to Donald Trump, but someone on his payroll might have considered reminding him that he has the right to stay silent. And just to be perfectly clear, these are the charges that Trump just effectively confessed to on air. Conspiracy to obstruct justice, wherein Trump and Walt Nauta conspired to keep these documents from the grand jury. Withholding a document or record, wherein Trump and Nauta misled one of their attorneys by moving boxes of classified documents so that attorney couldn't introduce them to the grand jury. Corruptly concealing a document or record, wherein Trump and Nauta hid boxes of classified documents from the attorney. Concealing a document in a federal investigation, wherein Trump and Nauta hid Trump's continued possession of those documents at Mar-a-Lago from the FBI, causing a false certificate to be submitted. Scheme to conceal, wherein Trump and Nauta hid Trump's continued possession of those materials from the FBI and grand jury. False statements and representations, wherein Trump caused one of his attorneys to make an inaccurate statement to the FBI and grand jury regarding the results of the Mar-a-Lago search. And another false statements charge, wherein Nauta gave false answers during a voluntary interview with the FBI. But hey, I guess since Trump needed to go through them, then that should definitely totally be acceptable as far as excuses go, right? And not to humor Trump's absurd defenses here, but in terms of needing time to go through these documents, he had over a year. How much time do you need to separate the thing that says top secret or highly classified from his golf shirt? And why not do it when the National Archives first requested them? Or why not do it when a subpoena was issued? Or why not do it instead of bringing in a lawyer to draft a false attestation? Or why not do it instead of assembling a crew of people to do a dress rehearsal for the execution of the search warrant by the FBI? It seems like Trump had plenty of time to think about ways to defy the law, and yet no time to actually follow it. Funny how it seems to always work out that way when it comes to Donald Trump. Notice too, when Bret Baier asks for Trump's response to the DOJ's indictment, laying out that he was recorded admitting to a group of people that he had a plan that was, quote, highly confidential and secret, and that he, quote, could have declassified it and now I can't, he says this.
There was no document. That was a massive amount of papers and everything else talking about Iran and other things. And it may have been held up or may not, but that was not a document. I didn't have a document per se. There was nothing to declassify. These were newspaper stories, magazine stories, and articles.
I'm just saying what the indictment said.
That there was no document, it was just papers and other things. First of all, what? I mean, seriously, I know what those words mean separately, but together, I'm not sure they actually mean anything. My best guess, though, is that he's trying to say that when he divulged attack plans against Iran to a group of people, that he wasn't using classified documents to do it. Now comes the part where I read directly from the indictment, which is an audio-recorded quote from Donald Trump himself. In July 2021, at Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, during an audio-recorded meeting with a writer, a publisher, and 2 members of his staff, none of whom possessed a security clearance, Trump showed and described a, quote, plan of attack that Trump said was prepared for him by the Department of Defense and a senior military official. Trump told the individuals that the plan was, quote, highly confidential and, quote, secret. Trump also said, quote, as president, I could have declassified it, and, quote, now I can't, you know, but this is still a secret. So if you're wondering why we all think it was a highly confidential document and a secret document, it's probably because there's already evidence of Donald Trump admitting that it was highly confidential and secret. So I get that it might be convenient for Trump now to claim that in fact there was no classified document, now that prosecutors have proof of his confession, but that's not going to change reality. And look, if listening to Trump seems confusing, that is the point. The goal here isn't necessarily to convince you of a certain argument by Trump, but it is to obfuscate the facts enough that you don't know what to believe. It's the Steve Bannon approach of flooding the zone with so much bullshit that the truth becomes impossible to discern. That's what Trump is trying to do here. He knows that he may not be able to convince you of his lies, but he can make a good run at ensuring that you're so bombarded with contradictory information that you don't know what's real or not. And that's a much easier lift for someone who traffics so openly and shamelessly in disinformation. Although, with that said, I would argue that prosecutors can absolutely use any and all information in their prosecution of Trump in the courtroom, including clips from this very interview. So Trump may feel that he's helping himself by virtue of crafting some warped PR narrative, but at the end of the day, it's not the court of public opinion he has to worry about. It is a federal courtroom down in Florida and a jury of folks who will be instructed to make their decision to convict based on the evidence that he's adding to at this very moment. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.